we're in it now. So, all right, I think we're live. What's up, folks? The whole party's here, but welcome. This is Carl from 24/7 Comics. I'm the publisher. I'm here with the whole creator team as well as Courtney of Zero Ghost. And today, it's a very special day because it's our first reaction to our Ashcan. And for those of you who are watching, either now or later, you'll be able to learn a little bit more about how you'll get your hands on this. And so, with that said, if you're new here, please subscribe to our newsletter at 247comics.com, and also like this video below, as well as feel free to throw comments or questions you have for the creator team as well. Share this with your friends, get this out there, and let's get more people in the room. But with that said, why don't we go around really quickly? Today we're here to talk about Zero Ghost, but ladies first. Courtney, why don't you share a little bit about your journey, how we know each other, and your excitement surrounding what's going on. I think you're just starting to share with Justin right before we went live.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I've just been a huge fan of 24/7 Comics since the beginning. I met Carl, I think, either through Sean or Bernard, some other artists. And last year I was able to assist him at the San Diego Comic-Con, which was a great opportunity. And he's such a connector. So, and that's the best thing I like about you, Carl, is like you meet all these amazing artists, writers, other producers that have been in the industry for so very long, and are ready to venture out and really create their own work. So, and they're just so original, and I really look forward to hearing a lot more about Zero Ghost. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear your commentaries because you guys don't know this, but Courtney's an artist herself, and I've seen some of her stuff, and it's fun. And so I'm curious to kind of get your take on things as well. So why don't we start with I'm excited to get that artist commentary. So Justin, why don't you go next?
Sure. I'm Justin Jordan. I'm the co-creator and writer of Zero Ghost over at 24/7 Comics. I've written a bunch of other comics, probably most prominently Luther Strode and Spread. I live in Pennsylvania. I'm a Pisces. My two cats are here beside me.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin.
I'm determined to make it as awkward as possible, Carl. So
we're here. That's what we're here for. We're gonna make it awkward next week at Heroes Con. So you guys heard it here first. We'll be at Heroes Con.
Yeah. It'll be awkward.
Here we go. So why don't we pass that over to Brian? How we get you into this mess, Brian?
Well, you approached me 2.5 years ago, trying to get me to do something, because I was sort of in flux. I had just left a DC, I think, or I don't know, one of the comic companies. I had worked in comics for over 20 years and looking for something to kind of my interests. And then, yeah, Carl, you kind of kept bugging me to do something, and we ended up on Zero Ghost.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm a huge fan of your Witchblade Darkness pages, as well as I think there's a lot of fans of yours on Star Wars. And so Brian, I'm always trying to convince him to let some of his art go, because I know within the art collecting community they love his stuff. But Brian's standing strong. But we're happy you're here today, and I think everyone's gonna love seeing what you've done so far with Zero Ghost. And last but not least, Will. Man, it's really important that you're here because color is a big thing for this book. And so, yeah, we'd love for you to share more about your background and how we got you into this mess.
Cool. Well, I've been coloring for, over 2 decades. Started with Cross Gen back in the early 2000s, actually before then. And I've just been working, either for DC or for Marvel on, different projects, whether it be X-Men, Guardians of the Galaxy. Hooked up with Justin on New Guardians, right?
New Guardians, yeah.
Yeah. And, just been working as steadily as possible in the industry since then.
Yeah, man. And I don't know how you do it, man, because as a colorist, you really have to juggle projects. And when I see you just like consistently pump stuff out, Very impressive.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, I try to hold a pretty high standard as far as like the colors that I put out there, for sure.
And I think I speak for the boys too. It's been an honor working with you because you've held this, I think, above and beyond standard. You've and we'll talk more about it as we go through it. But I think the audience is gonna really love what they see.
Yeah, likewise, man. Like it's been a life-altering experience working with you guys in a lot of ways. I've learned so much working with you, Justin, and Brian on this project. It's really, been life-changing in a lot of ways.
Oh man, don't set expectations too high. Then we have to now climb this mountain. But no, I agree. Me too. I'll say, I mean, before we allow Justin, who is the guy that kind of drafted the story and kind of put this together, I want to kind of share. Zero Ghost has actually a really special place in my heart because Justin Jordan, you guys may or may not know this, is actually the first creator to sign with 24/7. So he is one of the founding creators. And him giving us a chance and working with us, Zero Ghost was initially actually the first book that we began working on. And obviously there's always lessons learned, and in a way we were able to do Zero Ghost a few times just to like make this what it is. And so it's a really special book for all of us. I think there's been like a hard journey, but we've all like had so many like different things happen to us through it all. And so to me, this book is brings a lot of memories, brings like a special place in my heart because it is the first book. Technically, it was the first book we started working on. I know it's a second book we're putting out. But yeah, I would love for then Justin to kind of set this up before we get into the pages of this Ashcan, and even share more about how folks watching this may be able to get their hands on it later.
Sure. Zero Ghost is about Kira Kane, who is the heir to one of the prominent crime families in a city that is, this is just for you guys, because we don't really say it outright in the book, but it's basically Hong Kong, but it's kind of a futuristic-ish version of Hong Kong. It's the sort of Hong Kong I imagine existing from watching Chow Yun-Fat movies back in the day and John Woo movies. It's that kind of world. And that's actually the kind of vibe we were going for. But in this world, one of the things that is different is that all of the crime families use different traditions of magic to do their thing. Because it was one of those things where I started thinking about, hey, if magic were a secret and existed around the world, it would be the criminals who would know how to do it because, they're good at keeping secrets and that kind of stuff. So we got kind of this idea of these 5 mystical crime families in this, semi-futuristic Hong Kong. And it sort of built out of there. And it was just really a chance to, there's a lot of stuff I love, and it's like 90s comics and that kind of stuff. We were talking about Witchblade and Darkness and that kind of stuff. And there was, we were trying to recapture some of that Top Cow vibe and some of the kind of heroic bloodshed movies from the 80s and 90s. And we're also trying to get in, a little John Wick action, like make it a little contemporary and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, I think Brian and Will have really nailed it. The book looks spectacular and the action is insane. So I think people are going to hopefully be blown away when they get to see it, which will be very shortly for some lucky few people. So,
yeah. So without further ado, let me switch up the camera real quick. Brian, Will, anything to add before we reveal this Ashcan with a first look?
I'm nervous.
I'm pretty excited to see it.
All right, so here it is, guys. The Zero Ghost Ashcan Edition. What's really special about this is basically number 1. But what's really unique about this is, we're limited to 1,000 copies, and this will basically be the path leading up to our Kickstarter launch. And yeah, why don't we kind of start here? Like, what's kind of the reaction to this cover? Because obviously we kind of kept the trade dress off. It's a DPS cover, obviously a wraparound cover. Yeah, go for it. Freestyle commentary.
Crushing silence. No, I think it looks dope. It's always hard reacting to your own comics, but when we saw the little picture of it earlier, it was one of those things where once again Carl had said earlier that comics was really integral to this one, and I think it is. Like we were debating whether or not to do this Ashcan in black and white, because black and white is the more typical way to do Ashcans. I've done.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's much better. Thanks.
But like that stuff with Shrike's eyes and wings in the background, that's exactly why I suggested Will for this. Will and I first worked together on Green Lantern New Guardians, which, as the Green Lantern part might make you believe, is a Green Lantern book where there are lots of glowy things, which is really easy to do poorly and hard to do well. But when Will was coloring it, the things really popped off the page and had like this kind of weight to them and like this depth that most Green Lantern things didn't have. And I was like, that's amazing. So when I was conceptualizing this, I had this vibe of like kind of these neon colors, because there's this certain kind of like city nightlife that I sort of have in my head that's just this high kind of neon and darkness kind of contrasting thing. I'm like, Will's our guy. Like, and here we are.
Amazing. Any reaction, Courtney, as a first look?
I didn't want to go first because I can easily take over, but I think it's stunning. I love how it's the full front and back, all the main characters right there, and yeah, it still has like so much energy, but without like blowing out like that, the nighttime look, because that's hard to do, to keep that really dark, the darkness in there, but the coloring, as well as the inking and animation from Brian, those lines, everything looks just absolutely stunning and giving so much energy. So I'm excited to see the rest of it too, but it's just gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
So no, thanks, Courtney. I agree. Before we jump into the pages, added a question for you, Brian. Can you see on the screen? It says, "Is Brian on inks as well?"
Yeah, pencils and inks by me.
Sorry, I just assumed. So
there we go. Yeah, Brian, Justin, Will, in case you guys can't.
Thanks,
Can you
Michael.
guys see the little pop-ups from the audience reaction?
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Thanks, Michael.
All right. With all that said, you guys ready?
Whew.
First look. All right.
Wow.
We got our credits page here. Obviously, the creators here. We should probably invite Micah next time too, because he's a deep collaborator of yours too, right, Justin?
That's true. He'll be at Heroes next week, so we can. If you haven't met him yet, I'll introduce you guys. But yeah, we probably should invite him. He's kind of, my vibe is that he's kind of shy, which I guess I'm not kind of am too sometimes. So
he's shy. I met him. I sat in the same table with him during that award show at Baltimore, and then he was nominated, and so we talked for a bit. But yeah, he's definitely a shy guy. So I mean, man, like this first page, you get right into it. I think for me, when I see this, it really reminisces of like The Crow, John Wick, Big Trouble in Little China, like kind of like a mixture of that. But then you get right into it. So what the heck happened, Justin? Like you just dove right in.
Oh, so amazing. Yeah, I'll let you in on a little inside baseball for the people. A lot of my books, you'll notice if I have one thing that I do pretty consistently, it's the flash forwardy kind of thing. And this is probably more how the sausage is made than people are really truly interested in. But one of the reasons I do that, and the reason I did it here, is that I want people to be able to pick up and flip through a book and know immediately what kind of book they're getting into most of the time. And I think this double page spread, especially the way that Brian really just killed it. Like, if you wanted to say, somebody said, hey, what's Zero Ghost about? And you just showed them the spread, I think that shows you what Zero Ghost is about. Like, and I think it gives you the vibe. And again, I'm not gonna gush on Will too much, but again, the coloring is amazing. Brian's art is amazing. Like, I could not be more pleased with how it turned out from an art standpoint. That's the real trick to success in comics, is attaching yourself Remora-like to people much more talented than you, and just, you know, letting their good vibes kind of wash on you.
I just
Yeah, no.
absolutely
Colors are
love.
stunning.
Sorry.
Yeah, the color really
Yeah.
stands out. But I have a question for Brian. The character here, the main character. Tell us more about her and her design, because you were very intentional in some of the inspirations that you pulled, and I thought it'd be great
Yeah.
for the audience to learn more about your inspirations.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time designing all the characters before we got started on the interiors. And I think we talked a bit about how everyone should look, and Kira was largely inspired by Bruce Lee's colors from Game of Death, which, you know, Quentin did for Kill Bill. So we went with her top, which is a yellow top with black stripes, and for the pants we flipped it around, so it's black pants with yellow stripes to just kind of bring that vibe. And she has the yellow Asics too. I don't know if you could see it there. It's a little washed out on the screen, but I think you could probably see it in print.
Yeah, it's like the light is reflecting off the gloss of the paper, so that's what's creating that sort of shiny effect. Which means, hey, that's a high quality stock.
It's pretty shiny, huh?
Yeah, that means like it really soaked in the color. That's why it looks so as vibrant as it does.
We actually, you know, I'll say this first as we go through this. I screwed up. So this was only supposed to be half the size, and so we used the most premium cover and paper. So the paper, it's like a cardstock cover, and the paper that we're using interior is like what like Marvel and DC use for their covers. So then when they asked us about the size, I said, is it the same size as last time? And I thought they were referencing, you know, the Evermind Ashcan, which it was another kind of Ashcan we gave away. But they were talking about this other book that we printed for like a small project that was sponsored. And so we literally have a full-size Ashcan with like the highest quality print. And it cost us like double the price, and it didn't register because I thought it was just because it's a rush order. But this is gonna be awesome because the paper is freaking awesome, and it feels really hefty. So yeah.
I would say there was a reasonably good chance those are going to be expensive on eBay in like 2 weeks.
All right. Any
Carl,
other
you get really with your ash cans. You always make full color, and you really want to just make the story bloom just straight out the back, so that everything looks stunning. And I'm sorry, is that a full-size comic though? That's not.
It's a full-size comic. It's beyond
full size.
I was saying where I messed up.
Can you call it anymore? It's just a comic at this point.
I always do. Technically it should be like half size and black and white, and ideally printed on a Xerox that smells like stale cigarettes. But I do like these dope ones. So
all right, so here's kind of the, you know, what Justin was saying earlier. You know, there was just this flash forward, and then we go right into the world of Zero Ghost. So what's happening here?
Man, I don't know. I wrote that like 3 years ago. Stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
the introduction to the families for sure.
It's an introduction to the families.
So the families are like a major component of this world, right? So.
Oh, they sure are. And Brian did some dope ass designs for them when you actually get to see them in full.
Oh yeah. That's what I wanted to say about that spread. It was like so dynamic. It was like, oh man, it was like phenomenal when I saw the black and whites. That's the kind of stuff I love diving into.
Which spread, Will? This one?
The 2-3 spread that we had.
Oh yeah, the one earlier. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I loved it. Love stuff like that. That's to me, that's what comics is all about, man. Like dynamic energy. It's just boom. Like right in your face. So,
man.
Yeah, I don't use double page spreads super often. So when I do, I like to make them count. And Brian and you really killed it. So
yeah. Brian absolutely made a banger there.
Yeah, I know
I'm a
you and
big
Brian
Olivier
collaborate.
Coipel fan.
Oh, sorry. Go for it, Brian.
No, I'm a big Olivier Coipel fan. I don't know if you guys know him. And he did a Marvel book years ago where Sentry tore Hercules in half. I don't know if you guys ever remember that. So
I do remember that. Yeah.
Spread is really influenced by that.
That's awesome. I actually hadn't known that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, the line art is crazy, and then the color, you just kind of took it. I mean, it's a bloody mess, you know. It kind of sets the tone for this. And so, why don't we keep it moving? We'll get into the world setting. So this is a great world setting piece because not only is it like in text, but also the colors actually sets the different families of art. So it really kind of builds, and then we center onto our main protagonist and the world that she's in.
And she starts getting punched in the face. I love that.
yep.
It's a good
Great
start.
intro too, because like I mean, for the current time, because it's her training, so it really gives you a sense of who she is and what she's had to go through to get to where she is in this story. So I love that.
And there's this kind of general, kind of a softer side of the relationship as well. What was the intention of this setup, Justin?
So I was trying to get across really quickly kind of what Kira's life was like, that she had been being trained to be sort of this heir to this crime family, and that the kind of relationship that her and her father had, because it will turn out to be very important, not very long in this issue. So I was trying to, be dynamic while also getting in a lot of information. This is probably, I think the first probably 7 or 8 pages of this book are probably the most densely packed with like stuff of anything I've ever written. And in a good way. I'm going to pat my back a little. I think it reads well, and it, gets the point across while delivering a tremendous amount of information.
Courtney, any thoughts as you look at these last few pages?
I have so many questions, but just because I have more artist friends and writer friends, so it just it makes me think about how this creation came to be, and the partnership that Justin and Brian had together with really creating these characters. How was the direction that you gave Justin in Brian kind of creating them? Because sometimes I hear relationships between writers and artists can be kind of difficult sometimes, just because if you don't give them what they want. So, and this is a whole other story. You're not coming from the DC universe. You're not coming from the Marvel universe. So, no, you're not recreating Thor or anything. So, all these characters so far are giving so much energy, so much uniqueness. So I just want to hear from both of you of how they came to be, I guess. So
I mean, I think it went pretty smoothly. I won't speak for Brian, but it was one of those ones where we have a fairly large cast of characters who were. I did descriptions for a bunch of them. I think Brian probably had to draw 12 or 15 people ultimately before the book even started, which is actually kind of atypical for me. It's usually for me there'd only be like 3 or 4, and then the rest of the time it kind of comes up on the fly in the script. But here we were, at least from my point of view, we were trying to do something very sort of intentional with the design and the iconography of it. And I thought it went beautifully. Like the stuff that Brian was pumping out just looked awesome. Like, so I my recollection is that I had very little notes. Now Brian would be like, no, he was a huge dick and just rode me hard on all of this.
I doubt it.
It was super easy, I thought. I thought like you were really mellow about everything, and everything was, all the descriptions were there already. So I felt like all the characters came out of me visually like fairly quickly, and I think was it only like one or two characters where you had some notes, but everything else was like pretty smooth and pretty easy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think
It was great for me.
I think the Ghost Eater was the only one we had to work on, and that also was what I would describe as smooth. It was just a matter of like trying out a couple of different things and stuff. But like, I feel to say, I didn't feel like it was like a grinder for process. So, which is good, because sometimes you get on stuff and like, even if you like the person, which I obviously like Brian and Will, but like you'll just it sometimes just the groove isn't there. But like sometimes people we all get immediately what everybody's trying for, and I think that was the case on this book. Like I feel like it all came together. Like no, we all get the vibe we're going for. Like we understand the assignment.
Yeah, it looks so
I think-
smooth, and
I think what
it looks like that.
Holy shit!
I love this spread.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I had to cut you. I figured I'll
He's
flip
doing
through
it.
it while you guys are talking, but this just this is a showstopper right
it's
here.
the color. It's the color here. The color is amazing. Like really
Yes.
stunning.
Yeah, that red. Oh man, yeah, just chef's kiss.
Thanks, guys. Yeah,
And
yeah, I
possibly
remember
an actual
that.
kiss. So you might want to avoid me at cons.
As long as you have your mask on, no problem.
Are you going to Heroes Con, Will?
No, I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm gonna see about applying for New York though. I think
Okay.
I gotta hit that deadline in the next couple of days, actually.
Okay. So let's talk about color, man. Obviously Brian said it's because of the color. So, I'll throw it out there right now. You did two versions of the colors. I mean, that's how committed you were to the project. There was a digital version and the physical print version. So tell us why.
Okay, for those who might not know, when it comes to North American press color standards, there are just some colors that are unprintable. You can see them on screen in red, green, and blue, but when it comes to CMYK, they just dull out. So, basically the books that you get are going to be like maybe slightly duller versions of the digital versions. Like the digital versions, the colors are going to be like completely different when it comes to the blues, the greens, and the reds, because that's just, the nature of the beast. Like there are just some colors that are unprintable, but we went and specifically made two sets of these files, one in digital and one in CMYK for print. So when you get the digital version, it's going to look like a slightly different. It's going to be the same color palette, same mood and all that stuff. But imagine it being able to see it on like an OLED iPad. It's going to be like so super vibrant in terms of color and stuff like that.
Your eyes will melt right out of your head, like that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's
Exactly.
just your face will melt off.
Exactly, just like that. So yeah, that's specifically why we went ahead and did that. I don't know if anyone's done that prior to us, but yeah, I saw this as a unique opportunity to really like show this world, because the world, this Hong Kong world that they're in, like that's a character too, that backdrop. So why not, give you the best that we can for it.
Yeah, man, and I don't think the camera does it justice when you look at the details here. I don't know if you guys can even see this, man. Like Brian, you like inscribed the Bible here.
Oh, just indicated.
Like, look at the background looks crazy, man. Wow. All right.
Will did an amazing job on that table.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blood splatter was a lot of fun to put on there.
Yeah, what was the thinking around the table here? I mean, by design, just the way the lighting. Because normally I feel like when you see someone do a comic, it'll just be like a very like flat image with I mean, you put so much lighting into this. It's almost like you're in the catacombs.
Yeah, that's definitely the feeling I wanted to give. You know, I like, just because it's a comic, just because it's a static image, why should it have to sort of look that way? Why can't it have that sense of depth to it? You know, that's the way I look at it these days. I think that's kind of the job of colors. You know, or that could be the job of the colorist, in the sense of setting depth and distance and mood in some aspects. So that's, you know, I just try to do like cool lighting, basically. Whatever I think might look cool. And if it doesn't work, you know, somebody will tell me. That's it.
It's actually interesting to me. This doesn't apply to Brian's art, but there are some comic book artists whose art is really, really designed to be colored, in the sense of, if you look at like just the black and whites, like you're like, oh, that's not very good. And then you see it colored and you're like, oh no, that's actually amazing, because it's designed to work with the art, which is like, I don't know that that's a new phenomenon so much as I hadn't seen it until recently. Now there's been a couple of people who are like pros, and I'm like, they're good, but like, it's just the line weight and stuff is just not, it's not adding depth to something. They're relying entirely on the colorist for that, which is a testament to colorists, I think, these days.
Should I not spoil anything? I'm trying to think if I should.
Nah, spoil the hell out of it.
Okay, yeah, I think it's fine. I think this thing is beautiful. I think there's, like you said, there's a lot like density in the world setup. So I think it's actually really great.
I mean, there are 5 more issues after this, so there is a lot going on.
Yeah. You could actually answer this question here from Ed as well.
So this is a self-contained story, but we have a hook for the next one, and I know. So when I originally pitched it, for one thing, and I think Carl may have forgotten this because it doesn't come up in any of our marketing materials, but the actual title of this is Zero Ghost Death Angel Overdrive, because I like those weird like subtitle-y things that anime and stuff does. So that's just my thing.
I was gonna say that's very anime-esque.
By design, so. There are actually, the next one I think is Shadow Devil Kill. And then there's a third one whose name escapes me at the moment. But I did plan out 3 stories if this one is successful. And then there is a expanded universe, for lack of a better term, of stuff going on. It was one of those things where I was designing it. I was trying to design a universe so that if we wanted to tell more stories, we could. So like this all takes place in one city, but like, as you go through the books, there's the implication that these magical crime families that work differently operate all across the world. So you could easily like do like an American one and that kind of stuff. Like in Kira's case, Kira's mother is Italian and she's a Striga, which is a specific thing. So like there's little bits of that in there, little bits of the world building that we tried to integrate into it.
You know what? It's not too late to add that subtitle back in. I mean, I'll share when we gave, we distributed the Ashcan last San Diego Comic Con. We actually had a good amount of feedback, and we had caught a few things. And then Sean literally went back and added a few new pages, and we basically like even changed the title, because I think at the time it was called Genesis, and so we literally evolved it based on community feedback. So rather you guys are watching now or watching our recording, feel free to send us a note at community@247comics.com, which you'll see at the end here. And for us, this is one of 1,000 copies printed, and it's really the origin story for Akira. But yeah, I did forget about that, Justin.
Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking about it earlier this week. I was going to mention it when we were at Heroes about debating whether or not we should add it to the actual one. I'm actually cool with it not being part of the Ashcan, just because it makes the Ashcan more special in its own way, like, one of those misprints. I mean, it's not a misprint, but you know how they used to be like, the Marvel logo's upside down. This is worth $85 billion. So...
I like it. This was intentional. I think we want to make this different. This is in a way like a reward. And for us, we are big fans of giving to the community. So we know we're a small indie publisher, but we believe we're doing the highest quality work. So we want our work and even our gifts to reflect that. So it's intentional. So let's flip through another time. Man, I've gone through this
I
a few times.
I was really pleased that the Ashcan turned out the way it is. I'm excited to see it in person. I'm hoping they still have that new comic smell to them when I finally get my dirty little hands on them.
Yep. So since we're halfway through the show, we could actually talk about how one can get their hands on one. So as you guys know, there's another question from Ed. Ed, thanks for keeping us engaged here. Let's see. When is the Kickstarter launching? So Kickstarter launching. Oh, Ron, welcome. So this is how you're gonna get a hand on them. So there's a couple things happening. Justin, where are we hanging out next week?
We are hanging out at Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we will be in Artist Alley at my table, which is something I should know the table number of. Actually, I guess I can look that up here real quick. And we will be giving away some of these ash cans. Basically, if you sign up to follow the Kickstarter, which the link should be around here somewhere.
Yep, I just put the link in the chat as well. So all you gotta do is sign up. We're gonna have a live kind of a QR code there, and all you gotta do is show us that you sign up for this, and then you will be able to get a copy free, and Justin can sign it for you right then and there.
So we are at. Oh, come on, where am I? There we go. AA 1818. Good God, you'd think I'd be able to remember that. It is right behind Felix Comic Book Art. So if you are seeking out Daniel Warren Johnson or Stephen Green, we will be right behind them. Is
your boy Trad Moore going to be there?
You know, I don't think so. I meant to text him about that today, as a matter of fact, and didn't. We were working on another thing. So he hasn't brought it up, so I'm assuming not.
He'll be at San Diego Comic-Con from what I know.
Oh, that's Trad's not a huge con guy, so yeah, I'm surprised he's going to San Diego.
Yeah, no, I think that's the one way to get it. So basically, come meet us up at Heroes Con. I literally just shipped 300 copies there today, and so I'll be landing in my hotel there, and then we're gonna bring them over. Basically 100 copies per day. We'll probably allocate a little bit more for Friday, Saturday, because Sunday is usually probably less visitors. So just make your way to Justin's booth, and all you gotta do is show us and have proof that you signed up. We'll probably have an email list as well, so we can keep you informed. And then we are going to have other ways for you to get a hold the rest of the 700 copies as well, but we'll keep that under wraps for now.
Carl, I claim one, and I need everyone to sign it if that's ever a possibility.
I mean, given how Carl gets around, I think it probably is. I suspect Will's going to be the hard get there. Where do you? Florida?
yeah.
Are you in Florida?
Yeah. Area.
Yeah, because Carl runs into Brian at the comic book shop apparently 14 times a week, and he'll see me and Micah next week, so we can definitely sign some.
Okay, good. Brian, are you in LA too?
I am, yeah.
Okay, I'm actually in San Diego. So
oh, okay.
You live next door to your neighbors?
Carl and I are what, like 15, 20 miles away or something like that?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we're not far at all.
He's like, are you done? He's like, did you finish the inks? I'm like, yeah, I'm working on it.
Hey Ron, where are you based, Ron? We're gonna have some virtual ways of folks getting this, but for now, it'll be Heroes Con. In fact, actually, I think maybe just to award some of the folks that are here today, both Ed and Ron. Ed, I'll see you at Heroes, so I'll make sure a copy is reserved for you. Ron, why don't you send your address to community@247comics.com, and we'll send you a copy.
Sweet. I was just about to suggest that, which would have been awkward if you said no.
No, man, we're here, and anyone who signed up to support this campaign, we want to make sure you're recognized, and you will have one of these books in your possession. So Brian, one thing I wanted to do is also ask you about the art. You've evolved a lot through the time. I mean, it always looks like Brian Ching, but I felt like this really was a take that is new and unique to the title. For me, I almost want to say it feels like a really solid East-West presence in your style. And so would love to get your thoughts and maybe your reflection on how you approach this book.
Well, started off as a penciler primarily, and it's like an assembly line, right? Penciler, inker, colorist, letter. And it's just it's meant to be like a time-saving method, right? And so I had always penciled. I had never inked, and one of my editors let me start inking when I was doing Conan. I did Conan for a couple years, and after I started inking, you just have a lot more control over the way your art is represented afterwards, and I was pretty hooked. And then from then on, it was just sort of like getting more and more control with the materials. Because I ink traditionally, I don't ink too much digitally. I do some manipulation in digital, but I ink primarily traditional. So
do you use pen or brush?
I think I use mostly brush. I hardly use pen. It goes a lot faster for me.
Yeah.
Brush for lines as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Every so often, I'll use a ruler and a pen for like buildings here and there. But as Will can probably tell, I hardly use a ruler because I know when you're probably flatting the image, it's like nothing lines up.
Yeah, but honestly, like that's nothing that's difficult to deal with in any way. I love your line weight, your layouts are so dynamic, and that's what I love, man. Like buildings are, the hell cares about a straight line, ultimately on a building when you got like panel layouts like this, So no, it's great, and great line weight when you ink, and I love your washes too. That's the actual joy. That's the joy that I get as a colorist, to actually look at the black and whites sometimes and just like really like imagine the process going through it, and then just trying to match that energy.
Oh, since we're on this page, I will interject one thing. Then this is special for the people that are listening to this. When you hear Shrike talk, just imagine it's Benedict Cumberbatch, or Bandersnatch Cumberbund, as I like to call him. But that's whose voice I've had in my head the entire time I was writing that.
It's in the script.
That may actually be in the script.
It is.
I have a question about the magic world building, because you mentioned that all these families have some sort of magic powers. Would that be kind of like is it kind of a mix of East and West, or is it kind of more based in like kind of like wuxia or like Chinese like mythology kind of magic, or how would you explain that?
So it's a mix, and some of it is an intentional mix. So it's funny. There's way too much information about this in the world building documents of it, just because I'm that kind of person, and it's easier than actually writing a script. That's why I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, don't mistake your world building for doing the actual work, because world building is fun and it's easy, but writing scripts is hard. So there is. So you'll notice, like the one family is of East Asian descent. They're from India, and there's sort of a backstory and stuff there, but like their magic works differently. One thing that we tried to get across in the thing is that each of these families has sort of a different sort of strength in what they do, and it is based in different kind of mythologies and sort of real world magic system a little bit. I was freestyling pretty hard, but like I was keeping in mind that I wanted them to have kind of different cultural sort of things. So by way of, for instance, I don't think this is too much of a spoiler. Like the Kane family, you'll notice their last name is Kane. And that is because they are partly descended from, British colonial people. And their magic actually reflects that. It has a European influence that the magic of the other families doesn't. And what their magic does, it relates to, who they are in that sense. I'm being vague there because that part is a little spoilery. But yeah, so the short answer is yes, I actually gave that a good bit of thought and that stuff. And some of it is more or less a whole cloth. Like the Death Angels are kind of their own thing. Like I wasn't really drawing other than anything of the concept of angels of death and like what they might do. And in this case, death angels are meant to be like psychopomps. Like they are there to protect. Ideally, they're actually there to protect the souls of the dead as they move from one world to the next, because there are things out there that are bad. But they are also dangerous because of that, because they're horrifying monsters designed to kill unkillable things.
I always look into that for a lot of comics, and what's kind of the lore picked from like Hinduism or Buddhism or different Japan, China, and I'm always fascinated, and I go into like really deep YouTube dives of what the phoenix is and what the dragons mean, and it's my YouTube algorithm is
it's actually it's kind of funny because we actually I actually tried to be even more ambitious with it than like the book than made it into the book. Like we were trying to do a thing where like the actual spell casting would be in like different languages and that kind of stuff, but like basically it was driving everyone insane, and it was just logistically we just couldn't pull it off effectively. I'm like, nah, this is going to go badly. So we still have some of that reflected, but and I actually, consulted with people who are into actual like magical traditions and stuff about like what we were doing and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff went into that just because that stuff's fun and interesting. But there's a thing that I like to, it's a reach for this, but like part of it is like the iceberg sort of theory where you're just seeing the tip of the iceberg, but you should know a lot more about the world, which I do ascribe to. And the other is which is kind of a related thing, is your job is not to predict cars. Your job is to predict traffic jams, which is like kind of the cultural effects and all that sort of stuff of it. So with the 5 families, I was trying to think logically how their magic styles would interact with their criminal enterprises and how that would interact with each other within the families and that kind of stuff, so that it all made sense. Now, how much of that actually makes it into the comic that people that aren't me would ever notice, who knows? But I'm weird and obsessive, so I went for it.
I think people notice that a lot. They'll especially once you get past like that first issue, going into the second and third, and when it kind of the spider web gets kind of tangled even more, then those little bits come out, and people are like, oh, I mean, at least for me, that's exactly what I look for, because I think that's their magic seems like such a huge part of them, and especially it being so family related is I think it's gonna tell a lot about the story, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I like it. I like it when you can sink your teeth into stuff like that. Like it's like as goofy as say Chainsaw Man is, like the lore around the devils and stuff feels like well realized. Like I have no idea, he might be making it up as he goes along, but like
I think
it doesn't feel like it is.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Justin.
Well, no worries. I was done rambling.
Go for it. Jump in.
Oh no, I was just thanking K-pop for what they put up there. Sorry, guys.
Hey, K-pop, I know her.
Hey, K-pop. You guys were talking about Chainsaw Man. So yeah, no, I definitely felt like with Zero Ghost, there's essence of like manga and like this kind of Eastern influence. And I was at Comics Pro this last February, and it was interesting just to hear from all the comic book retailers asking for more kind of Eastern influence in the way comics are the stories are being told and whatnot. It's a little harder and more challenging for like the Marvels and DCs of the world to do that. But I think one of the advantages of being a very small, gritty, independent publisher, we could do whatever the freak we want. And so it's cool that you guys all coming together was able to build something very organic and relevant to, I think, what people want to see today.
Yeah,
I certainly hope so.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm sorry, guys. Could you excuse me?
No worries, no worries. All right, so I think we are gonna probably start landing the plane. This is basically a preview as to what this book is going to look like, and kind of introducing it virtually to folks around the world. If you haven't done so yet, please do like and subscribe to our channel. You'll get all the latest updates. We are going to do a lot more streams and more giveaways of these ash cans. So the goal is to basically get rid of most of these until our Kickstarter launch. We don't have a definite date yet, but we do have an internal date in mind. And so we do also have an internal goal of how many people subscribe, subscriptions, and kind of notified subscriptions until we launch. So please sharing this with your friend. We would really appreciate it. Any other kind of last commentary, thoughts, or words before we kind of land the plane, folks?
How do we get that poster that's beneath the comic?
This guy here. This is actually a playmat. So I do a lot of Magic the Gathering, and one day I said, if we're gonna start doing streams, I want something that includes all our guys on one place. And so Jane, who's our graphic designer, whipped us up literally like overnight, and it basically has as you guys see, a little bit of everyone. So anywhere from Brian's art here, so we got Sean over here. I think we have Crease over here. Warwick Johnson. Warwick's over here.
Sorry.
Yeah, Warwick is here. Yeah, it's great. It's maybe we should turn this into a poster.
That'd be cool.
So yeah, we went through the book a few times. I'm really excited, and I look forward to having folks see this for themselves. I think it's really special and unique in person, and so it's like I said, I messed up to your benefit. I printed on the highest quality paper possible and double the size of what it was supposed to be, and we're excited. And so we got these over at Heroes Con this next week, and definitely come by and have Justin sign it for you.
See, the problem is, now that you've established this baseline with the ash cans, the next ash cans,
Excuse me, guys.
you're going to have to do them like artist edition size.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
There would be posters of the comics folded in half.
I kind of like that. I like that idea.
It's funny. At first, when I looked at it, I was like, oh man. But then I thought about it for Transformers #1 with Daniel Warren Johnson. They actually did an ash can this size as well.
Well, honestly, I've done ash cans for several books, and I've always done them at full size.
Oh, you
Not
did?
necessarily all color, but yeah, I've always done them at full size.
Okay. But the
I
Transformers,
I differentiate them through like cover design and like paper stock and that kind of stuff. But like, yeah, the half size ones was always just, I don't know. If you're doing it yourself, so back in the day, I used to do mini comics, and I would print them out and like copy them at an actual copy store. And it was funny. I didn't have a stapler that was big enough, so I had to staple them and then flip them over and hammer the staples down so they'd be flat. So they were real handmade. Those are dope. But if I'm actually going to have something printed as an ash can, like I've always gone full size.
yeah, no, I think this is the right way to go. And on top of that, I mean, it's just gonna have a lot of unique things, like with the way it's printed, and even saying ash can. And it's funny, we actually printed the whole comic, so people can actually get a true preview of it all. And the Kickstarter itself, we're gonna slowly announce who else is involved. We're gonna have a few other surprises for our fans, and so Yeah, thank you, Justin, Brian, Will, Courtney. Thanks for making time to join us here today. And yeah,
Thanks
I
for
think
having me.
what's this? Recreate the hammered stapling as heroes.
That might be possible. It is
You have to
funny.
check in your hammer though. You gotta check it in as a weapon. So just make sure
That's
they get
true.
it approved.
You know, it's funny. I will say I will have, and I have not had these for a long time. These are from an old printing, but I will actually have copies of Thanos and Darkseid, Carpool Buddies of Doom, which is the last mini comic that I actually did, which is half size. We found a cache of them, so I will actually have those available again.
What year was this? When did you create those?
Oh God! So I'll try to keep this quick since we're at the end of the thing. So like maybe 10 years ago, I was at Baltimore Comic Con, and there were these two guys. One of them was dressed up as Thanos, and one in Darkseid in like almost movie quality costumes, like giant. They were like 7 feet tall. They were on like platform shoes or something, and they're massive. And I'd seen them separately. And then at the end of the con, I just saw them walking down the aisle, just having a conversation in like this full like latex getup. And I was like, wow, it's just like they're going for coffee. And I mentioned to a friend of mine, he's like, oh man, like imagine if they were carpool buddies. I'm like, yes. And so we did this indie comic that we didn't sell, like because we don't own any of that. But it's gone viral on the internet like every 2 years for like a decade. Like every so often it pops up on like Reddit or Tumblr or whatever the social media du jour is. It is almost certainly the most read thing that I have ever done. To the point where like even like Hollywood people were like, hey, did you write Thanos and Darkseid, Carpool Buddies of Doom? I'm like, how? Whatever. Yes, I did, and it's funny. So
That is hilarious. You gotta bring some of those copies. I want one of those.
yeah, I'll give you one. I got a retailer buddy's bringing them down for me. So
Yeah, so we're gonna have a lot of merch, lots of ash cans. We're gonna have some QR codes. Come by Heroes Con next week, and we'll have different occasions. I think Brian, we did talk about how we want to do a stream talking about the character design specifically. So we're looking forward to that. I would love for you to showcase some of your original art as well from the issue, so people can see your line work. And then I know you and Will also collaborate pretty heavily on the coloring process. So I think at our next stream, we'd love for us to kind of be a fly on the wall and maybe listen to one of the calls and how you guys approach the color process as well. But otherwise, thank you everyone for joining us today. And whether you're watching it live today or watching it as a replay, we look forward to seeing you. Please subscribe to our newsletter at 247comics.com. Hit like below and subscribe to this channel for more upcoming content. Thanks, everyone.
see you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
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 All right.